Hi everyone, my name's Mad Matt Lugos. Welcome back to Disco Elysium, the final cut. So, in the last episode, we finally did the post-mortem, the autopsy on our murder victim who was hanging from the tree. We didn't really learn too much extra. I think I maybe made a bit of a mistake in terms of not combing his hair back the second time, because that might have revealed a heavier wound on his head, which might mean that the whole lynching and hanging is like not the way he actually died, particularly because there isn't any signs of him struggling against the hanging, even though his hands weren't bound, correct? But we need to find a fridge. It looks like we're going to have to enlist the help of Kuno, unbelievably. But after that, we interrogated the aptly named racist lorry driver. And I can't get my mic in the right place. And we got into the smuggling lady's lorry, and we've kind of unveiled this whole network across Revachol of the drug trade, where they use like the underground tunnels, the drainage tunnels, the storm drains. That's it. That would be used, you know, if there was a storm or a typhoon or something. So we can, I believe we can go and talk to Joyce. Yeah, report back to Joyce. So that might benefit us in learning something as well. But before that, guys, I just need to do a little channel maintenance thing here. So for some reason, YouTube has been like deleting all the likes off my videos on this series. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Particularly in the, you know, the main bulk of the series. The first kind of 2 or 3 videos only had like a quarter of the likes removed. I don't know why, but I know that it usually does that if YouTube thinks you're like generating false views, you know, like clicking the video and going like refreshing the video yourself a bunch of times, which I have not been doing, or liking the video yourself, like me myself doing it, and I haven't. It's strange. The only thing I think it could be is I have like a dedicated hater who like pops up and like dislikes every single one of my videos on like one day, and YouTube generally like clears them out because it can tell what he's doing. So I don't know if it's like a conflict within that, but I can see how many likes people are actually leaving in my analytics, but it doesn't show up like here on the video underneath, and it doesn't show up on like my content page. So I would maybe like you guys to do, I'm just going to leave a comment below. Now if you tend to leave a like, still leave that like, but then if you could just click like on my comment just so I can see, you know, who's actually watching the video, I guess, and then clicking like. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but you know, if you just watch and you don't click like, which is perfectly fine, I don't really care, don't do that. But if you usually click like on the video, click like on the video, and then just click like on this comment just so I can see what's going on in some way. I don't know if it's just because this series, you know, this series seems to have got. I really wasn't expecting it to get more viewership than I usually get, because I thought this was quite a niche game. Oh, hey there, Tommy. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave a little comment below. If you usually leave a like on that as well. There's a little experiment.
I saw you poking around in Lady Driver's lorry. She in trouble?
Sorry, dude. I can't. I know we've been friendly, but we did you a favour, so I'm not doing you a favour because you'll probably relay it to her. You said that you liked her. I can't disclose the facts.
It's that bad. Man, what should I do? What should I do to help her?
No need for you to do anything. Don't worry, the police are looking into it. The last thing we need is more civilians involved. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should just keep my head down and work on my rhymes while I can.
What's the plan with those rhymes anyway?
Oh, you know. Tommy Leham's gonna be a musician. Sprechgesang, but with beats. I've got a lot of free time on the road to hone my craft.
Fair enough. Why have you changed your name to Tommy Laham?
Tommy Laham was taken. My real name's Jerry Lafitte. Tommy's way better.
Jerry Lafitte. Okay.
It's more him.
Yeah. Any other? Have we got any more extra
The
questions?
man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Oh, we do have some clothes. See you later, Tommy. That boost conceptualization, right? No, 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 no. Yes. No. This is just a esprit de corps, right? Are we losing any conceptualization? Should we gain some with the shirt? Let's try again.
Still here. Stuck in this damn jam, my man. What's up?
Let's try this. Why not?
Your best verse? You don't even have a bad verse in here. Just tumbleweed and liquor stains. Wait, no. What are you doing?
Wait, was that a red check? Oh, don't tell me that was a red check. She broke me. She fucking broke
That's
me.
brutal, man. But you know, time will...
No, stop. He's already mortified.
No, Tommy, these are my rhymes. Listen. She fucked me till I... Exit!
That's,
In the name of God, what are you doing?
I'll never be the same again. She's always there. Fuck the case. Fuck everything. Total doom. It's not real, guys. It's not my actual thoughts. It's just a poem.
yeah, I get that, and it's cool, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I get it. These are your rhymes. They're from your life. Doesn't matter if they're robust, they're honest. So, thanks, man.
Okay.
Yes, and I also thank you for stopping. We have a drug investigation to return to.
Shut up, Kimmy. Bloody hell. Right, let's pop them back on. I don't care about authority. I would like to get a more stylish hat on though. We can't lose one in rhetoric, and this is just useful because it doesn't take anything away from us, right? I'm not losing any savoir-faire. So could do with healing a little bit. I don't want to waste a charge. Let's bump one in before we go and talk to Joyce. Right, let's go and talk to Joyce. I think that would be sensible. I think we've already teased shit ain't nothing to me.
There. Working class drunk. You know what this means, right?
Case solved.
Cracked it. All in a good day's work.
Open and shut. I don't even need to think about this anymore. Wait, what did I crack exactly?
What do you mean, what did I crack? Look at how working class that drunk is.
It's her husband, the missing husband. It's the future leader of the proletarian uprising. Third option?
No. Stop goofing around, recruit.
Look at how working class that drunk is. What is he talking about? The husband?
Yes, and you found him. Now go and tell the working class woman. Protect and serve, recruit.
Whose husband? I'm going in.
There's no need for champagne when there's honor, recruit. Go and tell the working class woman what you found, right now.
Okay. Man, we are got so much to do. A working class woman. Who is the working class woman, dude? Am I misremembering something really important here? Is it her? I don't think it's her. Oh. I found your husband.
God damn it, I already told you. My husband isn't missing.
But you said you didn't know where he was.
And I specifically added that I didn't need to know where he was.
Well, nevertheless, I found him. I'm that good.
Very well then. Where is he?
She's getting impatient. Her hand's now picking on a random book cover. Right around the corner, he has pissed himself. Our hammer-toting comrade was at the bottom. Was at the bottom of those stairs. There, point to the working-class drunk down near the sea. Over there.
Excuse me? I don't follow.
She blinks.
There's something else hiding in her voice, though. A trace of worry.
I found a working-class drunk and I thought he might be yours.
Right, because working-class women come with alcoholic husbands. You know what?
She glances over your shoulder towards the drunk. Authority just gets us in trouble all the time. Something bad, I guess. I'm sorry I say stupid things sometimes. I didn't mean to annoy. I think she's going to go talk to him. What?
You were right. I do have an alcoholic husband. Although not that one.
Oh, okay.
Ha! Blam! Knew it.
You told me your husband's alright. So is he missing as well?
No, he's not. Or maybe he is. I don't know.
In a metaphorical way.
He's probably in the park or in Shamrock somewhere. Drinking with his friends.
She looks away.
I haven't seen him for... Well, to hell with him.
She's completely forgotten about her books, staring blank into the distance instead.
There. She's worried now.
Kim, is it just me or do we have a missing persons case here? Don't worry, I'm going to find him and bring him back home, I promise. Well, he's with his friends, then he's not really missing. No need for the police to get involved. Don't worry, I'm going to find him and bring him back home, I promise.
She sighs, but you can detect a slight hint of gratitude and relief from her face.
What does he look like?
All right, go ahead. Do you have any questions?
What does he look like?
Honestly, not that different from you.
She eyes you from head to toe. A late-stage alcoholic, then.
That's one way to put it, yes. No offense. I'd also add he's a little bit chubby.
What else?
What else? He was wearing a dark brown leather jacket with a bright blue inner lining. The lining is hand-sewn. I made it myself.
She sighs, her voice slightly quivering when she adds...
It's his cool jacket. God knows it's too cold to run around in this, but he refuses to change.
Who cares about the cold when you have your cool jacket to wear? You can completely sympathize.
Yes.
I even tried throwing it away once, but he just dug it out of the bin. Can you believe it?
She looks back at you, shaking her head. Well, if that jacket really is that cool, then I can totally understand. I'm going to go for the disco option.
Well, what can you do? I hope that at least that extra lining helps him keep warm at night. I wouldn't like him to catch cold.
She's thinking about him out in the cold, in some park, or on the coast. And it's making her more and more worried.
When did you last see him?
Yesterday morning, he went to the library. He went to retrieve my book, and he promised he'd walk straight back home.
I really didn't expect this to go anywhere. Her eyes become cold with recollection.
Because we talked about this. We talked about not wandering off again.
She scoffs.
I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do with his addiction. Just makes me feel weak.
Gone for around 36 hours then. Damn, this is a missing persons case. She turns away from you in an attempt to recover.
You're going to tell us his name? Okay, thanks.
So you are going to look for him?
Of course.
She genuinely wants you to now. Don't make her ask.
Yeah, I'll try and bring him back home.
Thank you. Please do. Even though I'm sure he will return home by himself. I'm still sure of that.
You sense gratitude in her voice.
I'm sure he will too. When he does, would you let Precinct 57, Kim Kitsuragi, know?
He gives her a slip of paper.
I will. Of course, officer. As I said, it's probably nothing.
The woman takes the slip of paper. It's a phone number. Thanks. Alright. Okay, did we ring the woman? Yeah, we need to call Sylvie. But hasn't Kimmy got the phone number?
Yes?
Okay. Alright, let's go talk to Joyce. That's what we were meant to be doing. Look at the snow, guys. Beautiful. You still here, Joyce? She certainly is. Alright, we got some clues for you.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Let's ask her about this. This might end up being quite political before we tell her this stuff. You seem clever. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
This reality?
She pulls her hood closer around her neck. It's related to that medical episode. I have trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality. No time to explain, just give me the lowdown. Actually, now's not a good time. Yeah, it's related to that medical episode.
Ah, yes. The episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy, now that I think of it.
She puts down her thermal cup and looks at you.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
Asking for a slap here, Kimmy.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
She takes a long sip of tea.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Okay, maybe we can boost these. Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
Yeah, I'm a holdover myself.
Aren't we all?
What exactly is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock.
She looks around, her green raincoat flapping in the wind.
You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed.
She closes her eyes.
There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders.
Not a place for her and the other upper class people, right?
A brief spike of longing in her upright body. The dots under her eyelids shake.
Boys with boxy shoulders. A brief spike of longing. Maybe she wanted a more simple life, perhaps. Like the patronising envy of the rich and famous, right? Envy in a envy in a normal life.
As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the Reeds are the real star of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
So you were here as a teenager?
Yes, I was slumming it with some girlfriends of mine. We had boats and...
She smiles.
Don't hold it against me. The boys certainly did not.
Okay, yeah, so maybe that longing was about a fleeting romance she had. So what sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol.
Right.
And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Is that close?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
And what's the name of this particular island? Because we're on an archipelago, right?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
Tell me about another, perhaps even more fundamental aspect of reality. Okay, so that's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
And what makes it great?
History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
So who built the city?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
And when was it built? So the war or the revolution was, what, 20-ish, 30-ish years ago? Don't know then. Maybe 50, 100 years ago?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
Wow. So it was built by the workers, so maybe it's got a strong socialist underpinning. And the revolution was more of the opposite kind of revolution where it kind of set it back, not set back, but turned it into a more capitalist structure perhaps. Or is it monarchistic? Is that how you say a monarchy to start structure? And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest.
So I don't know. Maybe this is like regarded maybe as a place similar to kind of what the French Revolution was. You know, French Revolution was like the beginning of the death of monarchy in Europe, right? So maybe when the revolution kicks off here, it might spark something throughout the world, perhaps.
By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So it's a really important place. It could be self-sustaining, so they don't need everyone else, so they have to come here with their business. So we're in an unimportant part of an important place. So we're pretty much at the center of the world. So we're on the periphery, basically nobody's. Yeah, so it's all revolving around Revachol.
Oh, we're quite a way off. About...
She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise.
A collection of tall ghosts behind the water vapor, light reflecting off their glass windows.
I thought she meant Revachol as a whole, not just Martinez. I should have said the first
22
one.
kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Say nothing, observe the large body of water swelling, cold. She's just told us where we are, but Let's absorb the large body of water.
She observes your eyes scanning the horizon, then
Thought-
breaks the silence, slowly.
Thought gained, jamais vu, derealization.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality.
Stop. I feel like Kimmy's being way too sarcastic.
Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Shut up, Kimmy.
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
No, I want to continue talking.
That is understandable, but perhaps it's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Oh, Kimmy.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
I feel like we could ask one more. What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
She puts her finger to her lips, then points at you. Too late for what?
For the big time.
Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth. What's the big time?
The revolution.
She says. Huh. And what is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Yeah. Would you say it was a bunch of apes duking it out? Who got shot in the head? Who got the mineral rights? When was this kerfuffle? That's enough about the times. Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
Okay, and by liberals you mean...
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
And how did they win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
But you said the liberals took everything, or do they count as liberals as well?
The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground.
She stomped.
The ocean, the laws, and the people.
She stomps her rubber-booted feet. And who are the coalition?
The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-le-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
Yeah, I mean, someone is always going to take advantage of a revolution or a crisis, right? I mean, I remember I studied Napoleon and the French Revolution a lot at college. And, you know, while the revolution was a big deal, you know, overthrowing, was it King and Queen? Yeah, the rulers of France anyway, and overthrowing the monarchy. Napoleon just inserted himself as the monarch in spite of all that, right? So even though they had this revolution, ultimately the coalition came in and kind of negated a lot of what they fought for. A moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head.
Yeah. I mean, the preservation of life is important.
At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
Incremental change rather than sudden, I suppose.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
I don't think I'm a moralist, ma'am. Not just technically, practically as well. I like what I've heard about these people. If always picking the option that doesn't commit to anything, then hell, yes I am. And also not. I mean... I guess that's always the problem, right, with things like... well, just extreme political views, is that there's always going to be some kind of collateral damage in switching over, right? Whereas... it's slower, and people are going to try and skew it to benefit themselves in a business sense, like she's saying about the coalition. But I think a preservation of life is important, so I'm just going to agree here. This might get me a fascist point for some reason, I don't know why, but I don't think it should. But yeah, I like what I've heard.
A devout man of the center.
She nods.
Hard to come by. It's good to have someone who takes a moderate approach to head shooting. In your line of work, I mean.
Would you say it was a bunch of apes duking it out?
Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing, intra-species warfare.
And the apes, were they evil?
No. I would say the apes were neutral.
She looks at you, her gaze sharp. Okay, neutral.
On the other hand...
She turns north to the bombed-out buildings lining the waterfront, then shivers slightly.
No, the tiny apes are doing all they can to be better. It's not their fault.
I guess. So who got shot in the head?
Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists... they all got shot in the head.
40 million?
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
So how many lives did the communists and the anarchists claim?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Sounds like they should have shot more people in the head then. That's a tragedy. Truly a kerfuffle. That's a tragedy.
Yes. The Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it.
I had a deluge too in my head. Point to your little head. Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew.
Okay.
The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Smart king. Cowardly king. I loved that king. Fucking communists. I don't care about kings. Tell me one more thing. Cowardly king.
I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
What? So this kerfuffle was about 400 years ago?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in 02.
Oh, 50
on the
years ago.
Isla of Grad, though by the end, nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
You kicked it off.
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Sarat, a particularly virulent prion disease. which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Marzolf came along and overthrew the government.
Wow, this has some pretty striking parallels to what we're going through at the minute, right? The pandemic of Sareth, prion disease. They couldn't contain it. People start rioting, things start going wrong. What did this Sareth do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
No way.
Indeed. Zerat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Marzolf's government was overthrown in 08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
Pandemic of Sareth, a particularly virulent prion disease. Okay, so she means like communism, I guess, then, with that, right? What came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
She spreads her arms, raincoat flapping in the wind.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
Trousers. Our lives aren't very similar, Joyce.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
You say so. So the zone of control.
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
What happened to the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
So it's been like this for 50 years.
43 years. Hard to fathom, I know.
What have we been doing in all that time? Just trying to maintain.
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell.
The wars after the war, right? And after that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
Then you happened. Your youth in the 30s.
Were they going anywhere?
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are.
She curtsies.
Welcome to reality,
Baby.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
I mean, it is fascinating wondering about the time period that you're living through, right? You know, what circumstances your generation in your country, in your part of the world are living through, and how that drastically affects and changes your life and who you are. The idea that you might be living, that your entire life might be spent in a war-torn place, or a place of political unrest or of war, right? You know, entire generations steeped in that. You don't seem to be thrilled, Joyce.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just...
She looks at the crumbling tenements, paint flecking from the stone.
We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we played it right.
What would you have done differently then?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
I asked you, who are you in all this? I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Sareth drove these people mad. Okay, maybe it was something medical then, I don't know. I don't know. Sareth, it sounds like it just means political ideation, right? I would have killed more, 400 million, if that's what it took. I would have made off with the mineral rights. I don't know. What would I have done differently? I asked you, Joyce, who are you in all this?
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
Medical solution? Doesn't that sound like euthanasia? No. Killing more, no. Honestly, I don't know, Joyce.
And you would have died, most likely.
Yeah.
Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city.
I wouldn't have fought with the communists.
Then you would have died fighting against them. Long before the beachhead, our time is a shadow cast by that day.
Thanks for the information, Joyce.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
I like sentimentality.
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
I want to know what you are. She hums.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
What are you?
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants.
She says with a sudden flash of teeth.
I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
Dios mío. Draw a cross. A liberal. Cool. I liberate pretty hard myself. So we understand that that means ultra-liberal, right? She's the ruling class, I guess. You know, privilege, the inheritance and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's vile about it. I don't like any of these answers. It's tough to... It can be tough to know how much irony is in some statements. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to know, yeah, just how much sarcasm or irony is meant with something like this. I liberate pretty hard myself.
No, not like me. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution.
Not like by either side.
Are you liberated enough to offer up your home on a plate for financial colonists? No, I think not. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening?
She looks you in the eye.
In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
I mean, people are still people, right? And she's obviously quite self-aware. Forgiveness is an important thing to be capable of, right? I don't necessarily think she's a monster. She is in some ways, but... Alright, I forgive you.
I do hope so.
She bows.
I do hope we're able to remain collegial despite it all. Tell me, when you look in the mirror, do you not see a monster staring back at you?
I do, unfortunately.
When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
She turns her gaze to the Delta. Would you have done something differently, Joyce?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Maybe a revolutionary after all.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
So you're a patriot after all.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
So she thinks her patriotism's based on principles rather than just this is where she's from.
Seditious talk, man.
The lieutenant puts down his notes and gives her a look. So you're a smart woman.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
Could be. Her earrings chime as she nods. So, you've got a family, you have daughters.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
Honestly, I want to ask her about everything, but... these checks, obviously we're not going to try this. Well, we might as well, I suppose. It could hit. We might as well try this and then put a point in. Point into it again later. I don't really want to put a point into a esprit de corps. We do have clothes that will bump it, right? I really want to use the point for a thought. Let's just read this quickly. Jamais-vu. Revachol Special Administrative Region. Le Calu. Insul Indian Ocean. Coalition Government. Insul Indian Mission Command. Name after name and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Trouvant. The Apricot Company. World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners, see if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all thoughts, the one you truly must complete. I'm down for that. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, let's just keep talking to him. I don't care what Kimmy says. What is? I feel like we're getting a really good history lesson here. You know, soaking in. You know what it's like here, and that we're kind of in like the black hole part after a war. You know, where everything's still kind of still dealing with all the aftermath, and probably the part of time we're in after the revolution or the revolutionary wars. There's a lot of apathy going around. So what is this acute encephalopathy?
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective. In case he goes down later, souring the entire portfolio.
I know you've got a lot riding on me. I won't let you down. What causes encephalopathy?
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
That's probably from the surgery then.
That seems unlikely.
Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie out in the open somewhere.
I've not heard from you in a while, Necktie. And what is this?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
She tilts her head. Keep guessing.
Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea.
So you're saying I'm ruined?
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
What is Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
She looks up at the crumbling facade.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
From a dilapidated balcony, Cindy the Skull gives Joyce the evil eye, her red paintbrush held to her throat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Uh-oh.
Wonderful.
What is that? Point to Cindy the Skull.
The girl in the old lady rags.
Yeah.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infraculture?
Yes. You and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags.
Okay.
She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow.
I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead.
Ah, that is true.
All right. What next?
Let's give this esprit de corps a go. I know we probably got clothes to boost it, but let's go.
6 kilometers southwest
Nice.
in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?"
Is that us?
"Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again.
I hope we do, Emil.
We always do.
What am I?
You? You're an officer of the RCM.
She says energetically. Revachol Citizens Militia?
Preciso mundo.
Good. And what is the RCM?
Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
The lieutenant steps in to make a gesture encompassing you both. You said de facto.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin.
Okay. They don't want us, but it's something necessary. What do you mean, though?
The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
Okay.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
The lieutenant looks up from his notes. So I'm basically a lackey of capital. So I'm basically a thrall to foreign interests. So I'm basically one of the good guys. So I'm basically going to avoid this subject and ask the next question in this line of inquiry. Yeah, so I'm basically a thrall to foreign interests.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it.
She leans in.
Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you.
Yeah. Why not, though?
The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative.
She smiles.
They will never forgive you.
Okay.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In
Lieutenant.
reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement.
The lieutenant interjects.
Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol.
Say nothing.
And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
She bows and smiles. Let's conclude for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Okay, I've spoken to Everett Clare.
You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
I didn't. He's a beautiful man, beautiful and just. Everett Clare is a hero of the workers' movement. He is the champion I've sworn fealty to. He's a bloated rainbow socialist. I can do business with him. For a socialist, he's reasonable. He's not the champion I've chosen. I wish to swear fealty to you and the cause of capital. It's not important if I liked him. I was doing my job. Should we resign ourselves to apathy? I was just doing my job.
Of course, Detective. Excuse me for implying otherwise.
The RCM does not pick sides in this. I hope it doesn't come off any other way.
Sorry if that was a bit boring, guys, but let's try and remain a bit stoic.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt verm myself. However, if you felt like discussing something...
I mean, Everart's expecting us to anyway.
How could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Sure.
Yes, your disgusting necktie agrees completely. Let's gossip.
Let's gossip then, necktie. He's trying to, Mr. Everart's trying to help me find my gun.
Oh. That's so helpful of him.
Her eyes become large and round.
The lieutenant looks at you, and you can swear his jaw muscle is trembling. He's able to contain the anger and surprise.
Unconventional police officers sometimes lose their guns. They then go around and tell people about this, to gauge their reactions. It's all part of detecting.
Incredible. Simply incredible. And how is it going? Has this detecting produced a gun?
Mr. Everard says it's almost ready to be found soon.
Did he now? Well, then it should be any day now. Unless, of course, he's lying to you. Anyway, was there anything else you've heard?
I'd rather talk about something else.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later, down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with?
Okay, do you know anything about these tattoos?
That's the man who was killed.
Yep.
I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
So you know something about them?
Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Okay. We've investigated the drugs and spoke with the lorrymen at the roundabout.
Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered?
What eyes are they?
It doesn't really matter. And I do apologise for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this.
The scabs?
In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
It's tied to some dangerous people.
She's trying to conceal her excitement, but the slight glimmer in her green eyes tells you otherwise. The lieutenant is about to interject. Cut him off. This decision should be yours.
Yeah.
Exactly. But what?
Hold on, you seem anxious to know. Why is that? There will be an investigation, that's all I can say. You sent us on a wild goose chase, there's nothing to investigate. We turned up quite a few interesting things, actually. Share the information. I think we need to give her details for her to give us details about the murder, right? Let's share the information. I feel like that would be the best thing to do. She's trying to conceal her excitement, but the slight glimmer in her eyes tells you otherwise. So this is the Okay, hold on. You seem anxious to know. Why is that?
I've kept my eye on the Camioners. Even tried to get to know one. It's a mystery I'm already invested in. Which one of them, if any, could organise such a complex operation?
Let's share the information. We turned up quite a few interesting things, actually.
Ah, good to hear. I wouldn't want to pry into a confidential police matter, but in the event you'd like to share more, I would like to know who it was.
I know it's dangerous sharing information with Joyce, but it's probably better to be on her good side, at least at this time.
Be very careful what information you're going to share with her.
It's a she, by the way. It seems the architect of the operation has gone missing. An abandoned lorry is near the statue. I saw a really advanced radio system with a lot of stations saved. I found research about something called ULAN frequencies related to the operation. I came upon a few hidden maps illustrating the range of the smuggling network. It's possible there's even a connection to La Puta Madre. Right. I mean, all of these are pretty important details. What is the most important thing? The most important thing might be the connection to La Puta Madre. But if she pushes us to investigate this further, then that's putting us in danger if we don't tell her that. Maybe telling her that stresses the importance of maybe leaving this alone. I think technical details are probably of lesser value to her than a political information like La Puta Madre being involved. That might be the most important thing that we should maybe keep to ourselves, but I'm not sure. kind of want to tell her this, but... I feel like that's what he would not want us to disclose. So if we don't tell her it's a she, that's helping Tommy out, maybe protecting the girl's identity a bit. That's telling her which exactly lorry it is, and maybe she'll send people to investigate themselves. These three are very specific things that don't necessarily lead her anywhere, right? I saw a really advanced radio system with a lot of stations saved. I found research about something called ULAN, frequencies related to the operation. Okay. I feel like we should just go with one of these three, because they're specific, but they don't really lead her anywhere. I came upon a few hidden maps illustrating the range of the smuggling network.
First-rate find. That should tell you all you need to know about their network, I would imagine.
Yes, they're spread all over Jamrock and beyond. I couldn't even identify the exact endpoints.
So this goes beyond Jamrock. At least you now understand the gravity of the situation, and those maps should prove very valuable indeed.
Okay, so we can't, there's no way out of this. Let's just go for the specific details before we mention who, where, or the people in the background. I feel like that would be the smarter thing to do. I found research about something called ULAN frequencies related to the operation.
High-intensity microwave frequencies. They're used for navigational purposes, to compress the inter-eastlery space. They may use it to communicate with incoming freighters.
Let's be honest, you have no idea what that meant. Inter-eastlery microwave compression. Moving on.
I saw a really advanced radio system with a lot of radios, with a lot of stations saved.
That speaks of the vastness and sophistication of the operation. Were you able to examine the radio?
Unfortunately, the dial knob was missing. The radio itself was inoperative. It was the nerve center of the operation. She could contact a whole fleet of lorries. The dial knob was missing.
Sensible for her to disable access to such essential information.
Okay, this might be the point where we bail. I don't know if this is enough for her. This feels like the big thing that we should consider whether we should reveal that or not. Her identity, I'm not sure is important, unless she has some information on this individual. I don't think we've given her enough, personally. Be very careful what information you're going to share with her. I've told you what I've found. Now it's your turn. Okay, let's keep with the esprit de corps. I don't mind Joyce, but we have to be careful. I don't know if we're going to be able to come back and tell her all this. It's your turn to tell us what you know.
I appreciate you placing your trust in me. Thank you again for looking into this matter. You have my gratitude, and the gratitude of Wild Pine's group. Now, per our original agreement, it's time for me to share company secrets with you.
There's a change in her demeanour. A caution comes over her, a tension.
I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
A bloodbath?
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Revachol West.
Since you are sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be.
Tell me again, how are the lynching and the strike connected?
I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail.
A lapse of faith.
They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor.
So you don't even need a security detail, basically.
Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenel, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating.
Crenel.
They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night.
What then?
Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbour. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenel contractors carry out their orders, for now.
For now?
It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
Okay.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
You've made a mess here. Or I have to say this is not Disco. Or maybe the investigation can team up, you know, share resources and intelligence. Boy oh boy, is that not good. I mean, we don't want to annoy her. They have made a mess, but we should probably try and be diplomatic so we get as much out of her as possible. Yeah, boy oh boy, is that not good.
It's not good, no. My only hope is that you provide a single concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put...
She grabs hold of the mainsail.
If you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
Oh god.
They would have to project strength and power.
The Debardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a Hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty. These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all.
Yeah, but they've got Measurehead.
The muzzle loaders need to be reloaded after every 1 or 2 shots. The automatics every 1 or 2 minutes.
As I said, a bloodbath.
She is silent for a moment and then concludes. I can't see it happening. Too many things would have to go wrong first. Isn't this a pretty bleak scenario you're describing? I think the confrontation is inevitable. Maybe. It's a pretty bleak scenario you're describing.
Many bleak scenarios have already come true.
True.
Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia.
My name's Henry.
All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation.
Okay. What can you tell me about Crenel?
Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell.
Down a deep, black well.
They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Just a private military contractor.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes, All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil.
Anything else you've got on Crenel?
Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources.
She thinks.
If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
She thinks.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenel.
Could you not contact them?
I have. And they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
So you said that the deceased assaulted a woman.
Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it.
Who did the passing on then?
The remaining contractors. Their tribunal. It's what they believe.
And what did the teenagers say?
That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too.
This all sounds like us.
Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him.
Do we know her identity?
That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumour about a rumour. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe.
You meet her soon enough, you feel.
This colonel, the one who was hanged, did you know him personally?
If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him.
Yeah, alright.
You don't know how you know. It's not written on her face, nor in her voice. But she had sympathy for this man.
But you liked him?
Liked is a bit strong.
She tosses her head.
He was the most charismatic among them. He handled all the talking. His departure left a major gap in the group's communication skills.
Do you have his name?
Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one.
Do you know anything else about Lely? Nationality, how old he was?
He was 40 or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age or gauge his facial expressions.
Indeed. This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own.
Really regretting filling in that autopsy report now.
And that seems to corroborate the ethnicity we gave.
The lieutenant is pedantically happy about it. Where are the two remaining mercs now?
They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth.
She puts her foot on the guard wire for balance.
They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting.
Okay.
Vigilantes. You're a professional officer of the only legitimate authority in Revachol.
Vigilantes. The RCM gets its authority from the Coalition. Where does theirs come from? We still need to know where they are. We'll confront them directly. Okay, we'll stay clear for the moment. They might not respect us, but we still need to know where they are.
You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
Where are these mercenaries? 92. Clothes didn't fit right, didn't pass the background check.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans, He's merely maintaining
Yes,
his
yes.
The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
One must be the goon in ill-fitting work clothes by the harbour gates, the scab leader.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
She's poised and unperturbed.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
And one is probably in a building overlooking the roundabout. Could that be clashy?
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a short wave at the ship's wheel.
She nods towards the sloop's cabin. Got other questions?
I hope I can answer it better.
And how much time do we have?
Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative.
There's a brief silence. Seagulls squawk over the bay.
5 days, not more. Maybe sooner.
Oh, time restrictions make me anxious.
It's a matter of days, not weeks.
Guess that'll have to do, Joyce.
I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news.
Now, can you tell me?
If there's anything else I can help you with, please ask.
Now, can you tell me about the tattoos?
Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
She reaches over the guard wire and takes the photo, holds it in her hand.
For about half a minute, in silence.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Observe the woman's expression. Stay quiet.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface. She has no excess of emotions for this cadaver. Has she seen dead bodies before? It's likely.
What do you think, Joyce?
Sorry.
She breaks her
I was
concentration.
trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars.
She points to the one on the photo paper.
I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent.
Like blooms in a pattern. Oh. Let's say nothing.
Port cities. On the oceans. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Delorian century, as early as 300 years ago. The sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels.
What would they use this for?
The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it.
So it's spiritual.
Where is he now?
This one's going nowhere but the morgue. I've spoken to him. For now, the soul is fastened inside his corpse. This one's fallen quite far by now. I don't believe in the soul, unfortunately.
An empire without an emperor.
What travels did the dead man make?
Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semnes Islands, then this.
She points to his heart. What is that?
Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
Somewhere in an office lit by a single green desk lamp, Captain Ptolemaeus Price, 58, bald and bespectacled, is writing in a ledger on his desk.
Bespectacled.
Rows and rows of days and weeks, laconic remarks in a single column. Patrol, case, vacation, injured. In Martinez looking into Krenel, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside, there is a siren. Distant gunshots on the streets of the Jamrock Quarter.
This man is no brother of mine, but this is his service history.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos.
You could tell me more about them.
His platoon members? The other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture.
Yeah.
This man was their friend and comrade.
It could go this or the other way. Maybe if you're tactful, it could be beneficial.
You're right. Not a good idea. I need the information, though.
Do what you have to do, Detective. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security. But if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you.
Okay.
We will be careful, ma'am.
That's all for the tattoos. Thanks, Joyce.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Not for now. Thank you.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez.
You must be mistaken. I'm a real radical. That's me, Mr. Reasonable. Someone's got to keep it sane around here. This is because I keep saying none of the above to political stuff, isn't it? Yeah, I'm Mr. Reasonable.
The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience.
First, where is the Kingdom of Conscience?
It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times.
That's an honourable goal.
It is, isn't it? History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly.
I agree.
That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability.
Right?
Real, lasting change can only come
Exactly.
about gradually. Increment by increment.
That's pretty much exactly what I said about being incremental. Radical change only brings instability, right? What about all the things that are wrong now? Okay, well, what's the Kingdom of Conscience actually like?
The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe, partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The Kingdom of Conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual.
Sounds incredible. Alonsi? Let's go there right now. That seems fine. I still want to live for the present, though. Yeah. Let's go.
Slow down, Mr. Reasonable.
Oh.
Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow?
Yeah, we'll get there eventually.
That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.
I agree. Sight beyond vision, right? -2 to half-light. That's going to go down to 0 then. I don't really care about half-light, to be fair. Well, this episode's very long, guys, but that's how it's gone. Okay. Really interesting history talk with Joyce. we'll leave the episode there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. We learned a lot about the world, about Revachol, about the political history, and I actually got a thought that I kind of agreed with. Right, so we'll pick it up from here next time. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a like in the way that I described before if you did. And just remember, everybody, never trust an uncrate. I'll see you back in Revachol.